Everyone. So we've got our letterhead, business card, and envelope designed in Illustrator. And now we're going to bring them into Photoshop and apply them or add them to the mockup template. First thing, if we wanted to add a laid paper texture, that's fairly simple to do. This is a laid paper texture that I just found on the internet, and you can do the same thing. Just Google laid paper texture. Just make sure you try to get the highest resolution file you can. And there's lots of textures out there for laid paper that you can use. Suppose this one's just white, but suppose we wanted to go in there and make it a color, add some color to it. We can do that easily. I'm going to just do a select all here, and then I'll go to edit, fill here, and then I'll pick the foreground color that I've already established, and I'll go to the blending mode of color, and I'll say okay, and now I've added that color to it. So it's not hard to do if you wanted a laid paper and you wanted it to be in a certain color. Don't really want to use that color, not with this particular design, so I'm going to not do that in this case. I'll leave it selected though, because I'm going to use that when I apply it to my letterhead here. I'm opening my Illustrator file. I've got it cropped to the crop box, and that'll put it to this width. I also have that invisible rectangle there that helps define that it's all part of this. We'll leave it at 300 dpi for right now, and I'll say okay. Now I want to place that laid paper texture here. Let's go to laid paper texture. Let's make sure it's also 300 dpi at the right size, and it is. We've got it select all, and I'm going to do a Command C, which is copy. Then I'll go to letterhead, and I will paste it, Command V. It comes in on top, it comes in on its own layer. I'll just move that layer beneath, and now I've got this on a laid paper texture. We're going to bring this whole thing into the mock-up template. So in order to kind of copy it, let's go ahead and merge these things. On the pull-down menu, we can go here, but you can't see that on this screen, so I'll just do it over here. I'm going to flatten the image here so that it's all on one layer there. So we've got the letterhead. We want to apply it to the mock-up. Let me open up the mock-up here. And you can see there's all this stuff that's going on here with the letterhead, the business cards, and the envelope. I don't really need all this stuff. You can leave it there and add logos to it if you'd like, but I really don't need all that stuff. So I'm going to go hide these layers. Hiding the pencils, the pencil sharpeners, the iPhone. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to hide the paper clips. I'm going to hide that stamp as the common seal and the inking pad. I think I'll leave the pens out there for now. And I don't really like this setup now that those other things are gone, so I'm going to go and select the two envelopes, the envelope front, envelope back, both those layers. I'm going to move that up in the space a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing with the business cards, business card 2 and business card 1. I think I'll move those up into the space as well here. And then later on, I may crop this so that the photo doesn't have all this extra space over there with that. So here's my basic layout for a business system. What I want to do now is place that file that I've got, this letterhead file, I want to place it into this space. It's simple to do. I'll show you how. We'll go to the letter layer here. I'm going to open up that layer, and it even says your design here. That's what we want. So I'm going to double click on that. And here's the critical thing. We need to find out what the scale of this is. We could put a larger thing in and then scale it back, but it's simpler if we just work with this scale to begin with. So I'm going to go up under Image, Size here, and find out that this thing is 395.82 millimeters by 560.21 millimeters at 72 dpi. I'll just cancel that. I'm not going to change it. I want to leave it at that. But what I need to do is apply those parameters to my letterhead, because my letterhead is at 300 dpi right now. So I'll go to Image Size. Let's change it to 72 here. And I'm going to leave these locked for the moment, and I'll change one of them. I'm going to change this one to 395.82. And you'll notice that this one changed almost to the 560.21. Not quite though. Let's just leave it at that for right now. Well, tell you what, because I don't want to distort the image. So we'll just leave this right now at that, and we'll say okay. Because I don't want to, if you change the things and you don't have that linked proportion locked, then things will start to get stretched. So here's our letterhead now at that size. I'm going to select all, then I'm going to go to that layer file. I'm going to select the top layer here and then Command V, paste. Oh, it still came in really large. Hang on. Well, we can go and Command T and scale it, but it should be the same size. Not quite sure. Oh, you know what happened. Let's Command Z out of it. First I've got to apply it, and then I'll Command Z out of it. What happened was that I still had the laid paper on the pasteboard. I hadn't selected and copied this. So select all, Command copy, and then we'll paste it. We'll go to the top layer and paste it now. That's what I'm talking about. And we may need to do some slight changes to the scale to get it to fit just right, but it's on that top layer, so it's covering all these other things. I could go in there now because I don't need these, select all of those layers and trash them and get rid of them. I don't need them anymore. One last thing we need to do to this is save it. Command S, save it. Now let's go back to our branding identity, and there is our letterhead that's been placed on there on laid paper in that space. Let's do a business card as well. I'm going to go to the business cards here. Let's go to, is that the one? Yeah, let's do this one. I'm going to go to the business card. Again, same thing. I'm going to pull it up, and then I'll go to Image Size, and let's find out what that size is. It's 282.22 by, and I'm writing these down, 155.93 by 72 dpi. All right, I'll cancel out of that. Let's go to our business card here. Okay, I'm going to scroll back just a little bit. Let's go to the image size as well. Again, we want to put in those parameters. Let's go with the 282.22. This comes out close to that, so I'm going to just leave it and change this to 72. Okay. Now here's our new size here. Same process. I'm going to select all here and copy it. Then I'm going to come to my branding identity, and I'm going to open up that one. Here it is, right? Um, and go to that top layer and paste. And there's my new business card on top of it. The reason I left the business card transparent is because now I can do some scaling and moving things around if I need to make that all work pretty well. But it's fitting actually fairly well right now, so I'll be fine. But if I needed to, I could do a Command T and scale these things, and still also go in and just move them as well. If I wanted to, I can go in and select the portions that I wanted to and move them using my selection tools. I don't need these layers anymore. I'm going to go ahead and trash those. And again, the last step, I need to do a Command S and save it. So let's go to our branding identity mockup. But the problem is the color is black there. And actually that looks pretty cool, but I want to change that color. I don't want it to be white. I could have put a white background into this original one here if I wanted to, and that would come through. Or I can also go and change the color of the background here. Right here, I can change the color of the sides, and I can change the color of the top. So I'm going to click on this camera. I'll get that color up, and maybe we'll just make it white. I'll just go with 000 here and say okay. And I've changed the color of that. So, you know, you can change those colors. You can also change these colors as well. If you don't want to show the back of the envelope, you can certainly hide that, or you can change its colors in the same way to make it match better with what you're doing on the front of the envelope there. Ultimately, I would get all of that stuff in there, and then I would probably go then to my crop tool and just crop it down some, so I don't have all that extra space any longer in that. Hit return, and there's my layout so far. So it's really pretty straightforward, and I'm going to have a couple of mock-ups up there that you can choose from. They all operate in pretty much the same manner. A couple of the others don't have nearly as flexibility for moving stuff around or hiding them, so you know, have to deal with that. But as far as opening up the kind of the connected file and placing your design on it, it's virtually the same process for those as well.